And you can kind of see how it's kind of a little wider there and there. This is one of the most durable paddles I have ever used. That I have beat this thing on everything, and look how well that's held up. And what this is this Lam-Lok. They're calling it Lam-Lok. And what they've done, they have their fiberglass and their carbon, and they've sewn them together. And at first, when I seen it, I was like, you know, that looks very interesting. It actually works, everybody. And I have not been gentle on it. What was your first initial thoughts about it?
The first thing that jumps out at me is the shaft. Whether you're talking about a bent shaft or a straight shaft, it's textured. It's almost I'm not going to call it sticky, but it's tacky.
I still added a little tape for mine, and that's more for reference, more than grip. And it also adds a little more kind of like from a distance, what are you going to see a little more? It's like that's an all black paddle. It gives you a little more kind of visibility if you drop it in the water. So really, I agree with you. It has this sticky top texture on it that really works well, and it's their clear coat. It's something they did in their clear coat.
I think the way that they actually attach the paddle to the shaft is a little bit different than some other manufacturers.
So other manufacturers it goes on the outside. Do you have that Warner?
I sure do.
So he has a Sherpa here, and this is what I was just talking about. And when we talked about like the blade goes inside the shaft, where this is called a hosel, where the connection is, and this is the blade that goes on top of the shaft. So it's kind of crazy, but this goes up in there, everybody. This goes up in there like 3 to 4 inches. It's actually like that long up in there, where this only goes in an inch. So I've not seen a single one of these break so far. I don't know how many's floating around out there, but I have not seen one single aerial broken or worn down at all. So far, so good. And they've been around since probably, I think they started hitting the market around September.
Yeah, something like that.
Around late fall last year. So we know some's out there. And looking at it, you could see what he's talking about. Obviously, it has a little more, it fills out a little more here, where this is more like an asymmetrical, and this is more rounded. And to me, this is kind of like a good all-around blade as far as design and feel in the water. But this, to me, was very, like, I was just like, this fits real. This feels like it just does everything. Yeah. Full slice, half slice, creaking. If I could have one paddle that was durable, I would be like totally fine with this. I have been fine with it. I've been using it forever.
Yeah, it just seems kind of, this is probably the wrong word, but intuitive in the water. It just, it doesn't grab your attention, like you said, like, oh, wow. But at the same time, it just does what it's supposed to do. And I find myself really not thinking about my paddle too much, which is great.
One thing, I don't know if you experienced this, the oval I had to put like in my forefingers here.
Yep.
Not so much down inside my hand much.
It almost, to me, it almost feels like a triangle right there. So if I were to do like a 3D rendering, I would say that this right here, right where my knuckles are, where these knuckles right here are, there's almost a triangle there. That's the feel that I get in my hand. And, you know, for me, that's great because, you know, if I lost control, my paddle was getting worked in a hole, I feel like I could grab the paddle and with not being able to see it, I know right where my hands are in the bent shaft, as well as the fact that they're in the right, you know, I've got the right orientation as far as, you know, my blade face.
It feels like a modified Warner.
Yes.
Definitely in a class of its own. It's similar to the AT. We don't have an AT paddle here, but it feels kind of similar to that. If you're used to that AT shaft, I think you'll like that. And mine is the 2-piece. I would never trust them until I started getting really well done 2-pieces. My problem, I was using those button style 2-pieces. Garbage. I will tell you, do not use those. In a pinch, yeah, if we had a breakdown, we had to get off a river. Now, this is very similar to what the G-Power does. And some might see this and be like, oh, it's a kayak sport fitting. Actually, no, it's not. Everybody, I don't know if you can see it on there. Aquabound actually designed this as their own fitting. I don't have a G-Power here to show you, but this is a different fitting than what's on G-Power and Select and all those. It's the same but different. They've added a little more. They've added these little curled up edges to it, and it works really well. Mine, it's got a 5 centimeter of adjustment out. So if I'm on flat water or something, I'll go longer, and I'll go with a 205. Mine's a 200. Yours is a 197, you said? He's got a 197 fix. So I've got a 200 there. And you see, here's one thing that definitely they could improve on. Notice how you can't even see those numbers?
Right.
I can't see those numbers at all. So you see that little line right there? I actually put that on there so that lets me know where the orientation line is. So that way I can glance down real quick and make sure my paddle's not moving around on me. And it goes from 15 to 60 degree offset left and right. Very good on that. You can see right here it says 200 to 205. I don't know why they went with dark lettering, because when it's wet it's even worse. You know, we got it dry and we're sitting here and I can barely read it, let alone when it's wet. I can't even tell. But honestly, you can kind of feel, I can feel about where I'm at. See, I'm at 15 degrees, 200, and then I can open, I could tell you if I'm at a 203 or 204. You can see right here, this paddle actually got closed up in a tailgate, everybody, and it didn't even phase it. All it did was put a little scratch in the clear coat there and there. So very impressive on that.
So isn't the Lam-Lok supposed to not just help with delamination of the paddle, but also, isn't it supposed to help with the wear on the edges? So in other words, it just kind of wears down like a pencil.
He's got his 1984 trim lock on here off a...
That came right off the Camaro.
Right off his Camaro's door trim. He's peeled that off and cut it. I hate this stuff. But he's got this on here, but he's right. Like Warner's wear extremely fast. Like looking at mine here, you could see after many miles of abuse, it is barely worn at all. And you know, he hasn't had as many laps on his, but that looks really good too. But this stuff works. Man, I'm a believer. Aquabound's onto something on that design right there. A good idea on Aquabound, and I think it's something to do with the resin they're using.
Got it.
I think the resin is a better resin than what, and maybe their glass could be a better fiber, a better carbon fiber in there.
Well, we have to probably revisit this at the end of the season after, you know, me, the beaters, had an opportunity.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, and this isn't like a full-on review. This is kind of like a quick comparison of the fiberglass and the carbon. I will have more of a full-on review of this paddle coming where I put thickness gauges on it and kind of go over it. But right now I just wanted to, we had it here, so I figured we'd do a quick video on it and give my opinion on actually both of them. I've used the fiberglass very minimal, maybe 2 trips, and I've used this maybe 50 or 60 trips now. So this has a lot of use. This has very little use for me. So yeah, anything you want to add on that?
Not that I can think of now.
And I love these colors. Don't you? I like the colors on this.
Yeah, they kind of stand out.
Yeah.
They're different. I like them.
And you guys leave in the comments below if anybody's been using one of these paddles, what you think about it, because I like hearing what you guys have to say, especially with paddles, because paddles are very finicky for me. But yeah, there it is, everybody. That's all I got on the Aquabound Aerial Major and Minor. And oh yeah, just quick fact for you. This supposedly is abstract art of what the word aerial stands for. Maybe someone from Aquabound can back that up for me, because
I would love.
He debated it. He said, I don't know about that. But yeah, let's get out of here, man.